Jumping high in chop. It's one of the trickiest challenges in kiteboarding. Rough water makes it harder to edge, harder to time your takeoff, and harder to stay in control. But with the right technique, you can turn messy conditions in the perfect playground to send it big. So let's break it down step by step. Let's start with the first key to jumping high in chop. Ride slower. When riding fast, you'll hit more waves per second, making your board bounce unpredictably. Due to this, it's harder to hold your edge and you feel disconnected from the water. Do you notice how the board constantly loses contact with the water? This makes it harder to hold an edge and pop off properly. Now compare that to riding slower. You can see how the board stays in the water longer, giving me a smoother ride and a stronger edge for takeoff. Next up, ride a bigger kite. This allows you to generate power without the need for speed. When you ride a small kite, you have to ride faster to create the power. And this creates the same problem as before, where you're just going to have too much bounce. So, take a bigger kite, slow down your riding. This will give you more time to find the right takeoff and kicker for your jump. Another key point is finding the right kicker. Even though chop looks chaotic, there's always a pattern. If you scan the water, you'll notice small sets of more pronounced, higher waves. These will make for the perfect kicker waves with a nice flat section in between. At first glance, the chop looks random, but as I approach, you can see the lines forming up ahead. I spot my kicker and I use it to launch. Now, as I get airborne, take a look from above. You'll notice how the chop, which seemed chaotic from the water, actually forms into distinct wave lines. With practice, you'll get better at recognizing this from a riding position. By finding the kicker, you'll find the flat water to place your takeoff that will take you to greater height. Now let's talk about absorbing the chop. If you lock out your back leg, you'll just end up skipping over the water and losing control. Instead, you want to use your legs like suspension. By bending your legs and absorbing the chop, you'll be able to maintain constant pressure on the water and therefore control. Do you see how I keep bouncing off the surface in this video? I'm barely connected, making it nearly impossible to load my edge properly. Now watch as I absorb the chop. You can see the difference in my spray. It's smooth and continuous. This means better control, more comfort, and ultimately a stronger edge for takeoff. By absorbing the chop with my legs, my body mass moves in a straight line without bouncing up and down too much, allowing me to stay lower during the carve and takeoff for better control and power. Another common mistake is not adjusting your carve. When riding in flat water, you can go for a wide, gradual carve into the wind for your jump. But when riding in chop, you'll need to go for a hard carve with a small or tight turning radius in order to fit it in between of the bumps of the set. Because of my large carving radius, I'm unable to place my carve and pop between the waves, which results in a lost edge and a weak takeoff. Now watch a proper carve in the chop. Here, I focus on executing the carve within a flat spot between the waves, ensuring my pop happens at the right moment for maximum lift and control. By keeping the carve tight and controlled, I set myself up perfectly for the takeoff. Another key detail is your butt position. If you sit too low while carving, your butt will hit the waves. This ruins your takeoff and throws you off balance. Instead, adjust your height based on the chop to avoid hitting the water. Jumping high in chop isn't about fighting the conditions, it's about working with them to gain control by riding slower, taking a bigger kite, finding the right kicker, absorbing the chop, and adjusting your carve. If you do all these things right, you'll find that you can build up the speed again to jump higher and higher in the chop. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. comment if you have any questions, subscribe if you want to stay updated, and then I would say, see you on the next one.